Welcome to Empowerment in Illness, the podcast where we share stories of strength, resilience, and hope from those navigating the complexities of chronic illnesses. I'm your host, Gwen, and today joining me is Edjuana.
Hello.
Thank you for joining.
I'm happy to do so. Um, I didn't know that there was such a huge community on TikTok with people that have chronic illnesses. I'm
Exactly.
just seeing that because when I joined TikTok, of course, it was the start of the pandemic. And now I'm seeing all of this. I'm just like, okay, finally, you know. But yet, um, it's still not talked about enough for me.
I
You
agree.
know,
I agree.
lupus is not talked about. I mean, we do hear about MS. It's just like every now and then, but yet lupus is hardly ever talked about.
Okay, so why don't you share your story and your life before lupus?
My life before lupus, the strange thing is, I've always had the symptoms. We just thought it was growing pains or something. Because I was diagnosed at the age of 17, but yeah, everything literally blew up when I was 16. And we were going back and forth to the doctor trying to figure it out. And of course, it takes so long to figure out exactly what lupus is, especially if you're being tested for it. But then I got the right kind of doctor, and he was able to diagnose it very quickly. I was actually a month after graduating from high school
Oh, wow.
in 1990. But yet, like I said, I had always had the symptoms, always had the rash because of the heat. I hate being hot. And so therefore, it was my cousin and myself. We both had this. Were diagnosed with lupus around the same time, right after we graduated from high school. And I was told, no work, no school. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work for me. Give me my medication and let me go. I stayed in Chicago because I live on the outskirts of Chicago. I stayed here and I went to school. I finished my education. Now, studying for a master's degree, it's not all that it's chalked up to be. It was, especially when you're sick, it was exhausting. But I finally finished. I say finished because I have my master's degree, but I don't have my certificate of accounting. My CPA license. That's the only thing. I don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, school was always a priority to me. I wanted my little brother and my little sister to understand, regardless of me being sick, I have this degree. The degree. I went to school. That has to be your first priority. But yet, just knowing that I had to do all of this, and by the way, I worked full time and I went to school full time. Now, when I was first diagnosed, I went to school full time, worked full time, and I partied full time because I was I was very angry. I'm like, what are you talking? And of course, like I said, no work, no school. Oh, and by the way, you might not live to see 35. What?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so like I said, give me my medicine. I'm gonna go and I'm going to school. I'm going to work, and on the weekend, you're not gonna be able to catch me. I got things to do the weekend.
I
But yet,
understand that. Yes.
I'm sorry.
I understand that.
But then, of course, it caught up to me.
Mm-hmm.
You really? And I've had 3 strokes, and I believe it was the first stroke. My doctor told my mom, "Oh, she's not going to be able to finish school." Really? Yeah, and it took me a minute to get everything straightened out in my, fixed and everything, because I was having ocular migraines, and with the ocular migraines came the potential of having a stroke. Again, I've had 3, so I'm like, okay, this is, yeah, okay, something's got to give. And so me and the partying cut down. I'm not saying all the way. It cut down significantly. Let me put it like that.
Mm-hmm.
But school was not a priority for me to drop. Regardless, no, that is something I held that in a very big regard, for the simple fact that I had to finish school. I wanted my niece to see, regardless of how sick I was, I finished school. That was a priority. And then when I finally did get my degree, and I did settle a little bit, but yet going to work was a priority at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, no work, no school, because that's stressful. Stress will throw you into a lupus flare. If I just sit at home, that's even more stressful.
I agree.
So, and people don't get that. I'm like, no, I have to figure out I have to figure out something. And I loved accounting. I was a very weird person. And so I started doing taxes. Okay, well, I'm not making enough money, so yeah, I got to figure something else out. And this has just been going on since 1990. And considering that I do have disability, everybody's like, "Oh, you have disability." I'm like, really? You really think that's enough for a person to live on and be happy? It's not what you think. It's not what you think, people. It is not. But I do still work now. I'm working from home. Since the pandemic did what it did, I let me just work from home. Mm-hmm. And me working from home, I wish I would have did that in the beginning. But yet, I guess there were some avenues I needed to go down, and some things I had to see and do, mm-hmm. before God took me on a different path. Because I was convinced that I was getting ready to be an accountant. I already knew where I was going to work for. And right around, I believe the name of the accounting firm is Arthur Anderson. And it was in downtown Chicago. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to get this job. But it was right around the time when Enron happened. And nobody was trusting accountants at that time. If you were very few. So I was like, you know what? I got to find something else to do. So I started working with Aflac. I could set my own hours and things of that. I liked the job, but the politics, mm-hmm. office politics are awful. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to. I'm not comfortable with this anymore. I'm not happy with it anymore. Mm-hmm. And then I started selling insurance. It was a lot like Aflac, but it was with a different company. And again, we still have office politics. And I'm like, I'm not feeling this anymore, Mm-hmm. I understood from my perspective of me being sick and having to take off work back and forth to the doctor. I understand the need for supplemental insurance, but yet the office policies, it got way too much for me. I can't do that. and be happy, let me work from home. And actually, I'm in the process of redoing my office as we speak.
Okay.
So,
So, with all the symptoms, because everybody's lupus is different,
right.
and you said you've had symptoms. So, what's your best strategy? Like, what has been the most effective in managing lupus?
Mm. Having a strong community around you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of a way to say this because my mom and my sister, and my dad, they're like, what is wrong with her? She's in a lot of pain. Yeah, she is. Well, why is she still? Because even with me being in pain, if I'm sitting at home, I'm gonna be in pain. If I'm
Mm-hmm.
driving around, I'm gonna still be in pain, right? So
Absolutely.
it's in my head. Which one am I gonna do? Am I just gonna sit there and pout and be in pain? Because eventually this medicine gonna kick in, and I'm not gonna be in pain. Let me get up and go and do what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like today, and I already know it was the devil messing with me today. I already know that. Because of course, with lupus, you are susceptible to infections.
Yes.
And I want to say it was 2019, I had to have surgery on my bladder. Ever since then, the type of UTIs that I get, I'm like, dude, hey, I don't like this part. Can you fix this? So this morning, this is something I do every Sunday because, first of all, I'm on TikTok, and everybody that follows me, they either tag me in some stuff that I'm like, why would you tag me in this? Knowing that I'm going to laugh. Knowing that I'll be fighting for my seat in heaven because you are an idiot. So, but yet, that's another thing right there. If you don't have laughter and you can't laugh at yourself, I know people are saying, but it's not funny. No, first of all, I know it's not funny because it's happening to my body, but you got to find something, some kind of way to laugh about it.
Yes.
I mean, because if you don't, you'll be in the corner crying hysterically.
Absolutely.
And it's one thing. Sorry, I don't know why somebody's calling me on Sunday. Anyway, I say that a lot. That if you don't have a place to go in your head, like, because I'm addicted to TV. I'm just gonna say it. TV, movies, music. That's my go-to. I already know I'm gonna escape this pain while I'm sitting here watching so and so, or while I'm listening to my music. That's my escape. Not a lot of people understand that. It used to, right at the beginning when I was diagnosed with lupus, it was reading. And then I scared myself because I love Stephen King. Do not ask why. I don't know. I'm weird. But I love Stephen King, and I'm like, this is not going to end well. I cannot read this book at night. This is just stupid. Why are you reading this? I don't know. But yet, to find an escape, that's the best thing a person can do.
I agree.
And I know it's not easy. Go ahead. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
No, I said I agree. We have to find ways to escape from the pain. And I do some of the similar things too. I like music. And I can put a song on and, my body may be aching, but my head can still bop. So
you're right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this is often when I'm in my home office working, I'll just have my Alexa on. I'll just have it on. playing whatever. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, and of course, I'm going to hear it in my office. And I'm like, okay, I'm feeling a little bit better. And then the one thing that I guess is really awful right about now is that my appetite is so awful. My eating habits are so awful. And I try my best to eat something for the simple fact, I already know if I go to the emergency room, oh, you're dehydrated. We can't even get a line in you.
Mm-hmm.
I can't hear that. That goes through me, and I know 99.9% of the time when I go to the ER, that's what they're gonna find. And I'm like, I can't do that. I'm not up for it. Matter of fact, I was just in the ER on what day? Thursday? Because the UCI came back.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was recent, really recent.
Right. And when they come back, people seem not to understand us. When I'm telling you something is going on, I have a infectious disease doctor. When I'm telling you, my doctor sent me here because I told her what was going on. And this is a doctor that she gets it. She knows what's going on with her body. You might want to listen to her instead of brushing her off.
Exactly.
Because we get a lot of doctors like that.
Yes.
No, and I actually had when I went to the emergency room was packed. So I was like, I came via ambulance. Why did they put me in a wheelchair? I was irate. I was tired. I was exhausted. And I have a calcification on my tailbone. So I sat waiting to get put in the bath. I'm going to say approximately 6 hours. By the time I was ready to get out of the wheelchair, my tailbone, I'm like, oh my God, this is so horrific. And of course, my mom was like, well, are you okay? And I'm like, I know you're trying to fix it. Let it go. I know you're trying to fix it, and I appreciate it. Just let it go. I'm at that point. I have to tell people, you let it go, and I have to come myself because I've been on prednisone for 35 years.
Okay.
I'm never getting off prednisone.
I want to ask you, do you have any joint replacements?
No, I don't, for the simple fact that my kneecap exploded and I walked on it. And that's the only thing that's given me major issues. But after it exploded and they took the fragments and pulled out, half the kneecap is not bothering me. I'm leaving it alone. I'm at that point. If it's not bothering me, nope. Don't touch it. Don't put nothing foreign in my body because my body likes to fight me. So, and I think I said that on TikTok last week. My body is fighting me again. I'll be right back with you guys with something because it was consistently fighting me. And I'm not a punk, so I'm going to fight you back. Oh, you really want to fight? Okay, we going to the emergency room now. Fight that. And I just got to that point where I'm like, no, I'm tired of fighting this without the right medication. So, but now I have to take this medication. I have 2 antibiotics.
Okay.
I'm sorry?
Prednisone the only medication you take for lupus?
I take, now, one thing that I don't know if a lot of people have heard me say this on TikTok or not. I'm actually, as of May 21st, I'll be 21 years lupus free because I had the stem cell transplant in 2003.
Can you please talk about that?
The stem cell transplant, oof, that was oof, that was one of those things that's like, wow, really? But yet, my rheumatologist, my first rheumatologist, he was out of ideas how to treat the lupus that was going on with me because I had SLE. I know a lot of people don't know there's 4 types of lupus, and SLE is the worst one. Yep. That's the one I had.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, we already know how fun that is, but yet I also had scleroderma.
Okay.
That's another autoimmune disease. I'm a diabetic, and then the lupus attacked my heart. It attacked my heart right before I decided to have the stem cell transplant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because, they kept talking about stem cell transplant on the news here in Chicago. And my sister, she was adamant, you need to try it. I'm like, there's a possibility I could die. And she just looked at me like, there's a possibility you could die, period, idiot. And I was just like, yeah, okay. And I decided to go through it. I used my own stem cells because you can use your own stem cells or someone can donate their stem cells. I was like, I'll use my own. So what they do is they take your immature stem cells and they harvest them and they grow them and make sure that they're healthy, all while they're making sure that your own stem cell, your own baby stem cells are healthy. They're shutting down your immune system. And the way they shut your immune system down is with chemo.
Yeah.
So for a full week, I had chemo every day.
Wow.
You could tell that it was chemo week on the transplant floor. You could tell. Why? You could hear a pin drop in the hallway. And it got to the point where I was sick of seeing my nurse. So I said, could you just put an extension on my line? This is really sad when you're a lupus patient. You know certain things. You learn certain things. And I asked her, could you put an extension on my IV and leave the flushes? I'll flush them myself. It was that bad.
Wow.
And I remember being in the hospital going through some social transplant. And I would sit there and still watch ER. And everybody's like, aren't you a little sick of hospitals? I'm like, what they got to do with ER? That has nothing to do with my show, and leave me alone. And of course, ER was not off by then. Wow. So but yeah, it was reruns. So I didn't care. I still watch the reruns to this day. And I can tell you what's going to happen in each episode from the beginning. Again, I'm addicted to TV. So ER and all the Law and Orders except Criminal Intent. I can tell you what's happening in that episode, who the killer is, and how long it's going to take before we find the killer. I can tell you all of that at the beginning.
Yeah.
To the point where whenever Law and Order comes on and I'm at my mom's house, she goes, oh God. Because I'll say, I hate this episode. That's all I have to say. And I'm like, I hate this episode. She's like, how do you remember? I don't know how I remember it.
Because we have a lot of time. We have time.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, we're sitting back and watching TV, reading books. I play games. I get my phone out and I'll play a game.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's really sad for the simple fact you just said that. I'll play a game while watching TV and eating dinner. I'm like, this is kind of sad. This is. I don't think I should be doing this.
It gets your mind off the pain.
Exactly.
Because you're sitting there, like you said earlier, the pain does not leave. It's just part of us, and it's there. So I will get up and do whatever I need to do. And
exactly. And I know. my best friend, her mom, after I had the stem cell transplant, she was like, okay, Pumpkin is cured now. My nickname is Pumpkin. Pumpkin is cured now. She can have a kid. What? I have a niece. I'm good. Because I've been on prednisone for 35 years. I'll kill a kid today.
But
I,
today, are you still on prednisone today, even
I,
though you had the stem cell?
I will never get off prednisone because, we have an adrenal gland. And adrenal gland has its job. I've
Mm-hmm.
been doing prednisone has been doing the adrenal gland's job for the last 35 years. So now my adrenal gland does not work. It does
Yeah.
not regulate what prednisone was doing. So my adrenal gland was like, you keep giving us prednisone, so forget it. But me being on 5 milligrams of prednisone Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday is a far cry from being on prednisone. I'm trying to remember. Let's just say it's far cry from being 100 milligrams of prednisone every day.
Mm-hmm.
Now you already know what happens with prednisone.
Yes.
100 milligrams every day.
That's why I'm surprised that you didn't get a vascular necrosis, because I've been on it for probably a little over 30 years myself, and my joints deteriorated, and I had my joints replaced. Like, I call myself bionic because most of
Oh,
them have.
sweetie.
Yeah.
I'm laughing because I was going to get a knee replacement. And my mom was just like, now they just going to build you a new, huh? And I'm like, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. I'm like, but yet I was like, yeah, right, mommy. And then I was going in for the knee replacement. And at the time it had, did something to my heart. Something was going on. And my level of digoxin at the time, this is really sad that I know all these medications the way I know them. But yeah, it was like my digoxin level was too high. So they was like, yeah, no, we can't do the surgery. So they bye.
Okay.
And when they said that, I was like, forget it, Mike. I'm not having this done. And she was like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. See, now the thing is, though, I've always had bad joints.
Okay.
I've always had bad joints. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I still got things to do. Because I was very heavy as a kid. And as you know, with prednisone, you go up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. After having the stem cell transplant, I have not been near 200 pounds ever again.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I'll ever be that way again. But yet, I'm not saying I'm not, because, again, I'm 21 years lupus free, but yet I still have a mild case of scleroderma.
Yeah.
I still have a heart condition. That's what people seem not to understand. Yes, the lupus, there's one element that is going out of my life. That's one element. Gotta remember, I'm still taking medication. I'm still taking prednisone. Let's just put it like that. I'm still taking prednisone. So, evidently, there is still something wrong with me if I'm still taking prednisone. And I always say I'll forever be a lupus patient. Why? Because the lasting effects that it has left. I have insomnia. Oh God, one night I had insomnia so bad. This was this week. And I don't know why. I was like, let me get on TikTok. I was like, that's the worst thing you could do in the middle of the night. I'm like, why would you do that? But yeah, I knew somebody else was going to be live. And I got into a chronic illness group. They were live, and I'm just like, she was trying to go back to sleep. I was trying to go back to sleep. Some kind of way, something happened. We both got off TikTok. I was passed out again. I'm like, our sleeping habits are awful. I have anxiety really bad. Oh my God. I hadn't had an anxiety attack until 2 years ago.
Okay.
And I had the anxiety attack while I was in the hospital. And actually, I believe the nurse, it was a social worker. She was trying to get everything together for me to leave with a PICC line. You know what a PICC line is?
Yeah.
Okay. And I couldn't find my mom. My dad had just passed away. And of course, infection was bad. And I couldn't get my mom on the phone. And I freaked out in the hospital.
Oh, wow.
And because I was daddy's baby. I'm a daddy baby girl. It made me see that my parents are not going to be here all the time.
Yeah.
And so me not being able to call my mother or find out where she was. Oh, somebody better find her. And the social worker, when she got in touch with my mom, she said she is really having something. My mom called me. She finally called me. And my mother said, "What is wrong with you? I told you I had something to do. Now you trying to really get yourself sick? Stop it." And
Yeah.
I was just a mess. And I'm still not in a good place when it comes to people I love.
Yeah. But at least you have a really strong support system.
And that's the one thing my best friend, when I was in the hospital and I talked to my best friend, she was like, "What is wrong with you?" I said, "I know." She's like, "Did you take any Xanax?" I was like, "I was already in the hospital." And she was like, "Did you tell them to give you some Xanax?" Well, they kind of had to give me something for me to calm down. They had to give me something to calm down.
Yeah.
I couldn't. And having a strong foundation is imperative.
When I was first diagnosed, I didn't really have a lot of support, so I went to Twitter when it was called Twitter.
Oh no!
And I found, I guess, a group, but a lot of them were passing away.
Oh.
And I had a friend, like there was one girl in there. She and I just bonded and I told her I'm not doing this. Like I don't want to get close to anybody because it was not all that great for me. It was really bad. And so that's how I learned a lot about it. That's when I just started reading, and I didn't go to a lot of support groups because they are sort of depressing. Everybody goes in there and talks about how bad things are and what symptoms they have. And I just kind of moved away and just stayed to myself. And my friend and I, we talk to each other. And if there's some issue going on, I'll go to her, talk to her about it, cry to her about it or whatever. But yeah, for a long time, I didn't talk about lupus. I didn't do any of that. Thank you for listening to part 1 of Edjuana's journey. We will continue part 2 next week. As always, we end our segment with healing heartbeats. This is where we allow ourselves to feel the negative energy and wallow in sorrow. Use your mechanisms, whether it's cry, scream, cuss, talk, or sit in silence. Give yourself 3 minutes a day and repeat it daily. Again, thank you for listening to Empowerment in Illness.